There is a quiet threshold in the human mind, a doorway that we cross without even realizing it. One moment, we are here, in a room, in a body, in a life that feels heavy. And then suddenly, without permission or warning, something changes. Time loosens its grip. Awareness sharpens into a blade. We forget ourselves. We forget our doubts. We become what we are doing. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi called that mysterious and sacred state flow. And although many of us have tasted it, few know how to return to it on command. Most drift through life waiting for inspiration, waiting for motivation, waiting for lightning. But what if lightning is not something you wait for, but something you learn how to hold? Most people misunderstand performance. They think the highest achievements of the human spirit come from force, pressure, willpower, and grind. They imagine excellence as a battlefield of sweat and sacrifice. But flow reveals a different truth. The greatest performances in history rarely felt like suffering. They felt like surrender, like a pianist's fingers moving before thought appears, like a climber whose breath matches the mountain, like a writer typing faster than they can think. Flow is the state where you are both the creator and the witness. It is the moment where life becomes art and you disappear inside it. Consider how rare it is today to be fully present. Modern life is an assault on attention. Notifications pull our minds apart like scavengers. Endless comparison poisons our focus. We spend our days mentally everywhere except here. The body scrolls. The mind wanders. Csikszentmihalyi believed the human mind, when left without a challenge, naturally falls into chaos. Thoughts become scattered. Anxiety rises. Time fragments. Attention leaks. Flow, then, is not simply a performance hack. It is a reclaiming of our humanity, a rebellion against the fragmentation of consciousness. Think of the last time you felt truly alive. Not excited, alive. Completely engaged. When the edges of life became sharp. When you weren't thinking about the future. You weren't thinking about the past. You were absorbed. Fully. Completely. The task wasn't easy. It wasn't boring. It demanded everything and somehow gave you more in return. That is the paradox of flow. You give energy, but you leave with more. It is like the universe saying, "Thank you for showing up. Here is your reward." Artists often describe flow as a conversation with something larger. Writers say sentences arrive before they write them. Athletes say the game slows down like time itself is holding its breath. Surgeons performing a delicate procedure enter a tunnel where nothing exists except the next movement. There is no ego there, no identity, no self, only action. And if you ask them after, "How did you do that?" they struggle to answer because they were not doing anything at all. They were being, pure being, alive in a way that most of us only taste accidentally. But flow is not an accident. It is a formula, a structure, a dance between challenge and ability. If something is too easy, your mind drifts. If something is too difficult, your mind breaks. If something is just beyond your ability, you rise. Humans are wired to stretch. Growth is an instinct. Evolution is not only physical, it is psychological. Csikszentmihalyi said, "Flow lives where effort and ability collide, where you have just enough skill to survive, but not enough to relax." Let's talk about clarity. Flow cannot begin without it. The brain cannot be fully present in a vague moment. It needs direction, a compass, a single point of focus. When you do not know what to do next, attention splinters. The mind panics. That is why one of the simplest flow triggers is a clear goal. Not a life goal, not a 5-year plan, a now goal. What is the task in front of you? What is the next action? Flow is a staircase built one step at a time. Now consider focus. Flow is ruthless. It demands commitment. It has no patience for multitasking. The door to flow opens only when attention stops leaking. That means eliminating interruptions, protecting time as if it were sacred, creating a ritual, a space where the world dissolves. Flow is not entered casually, it is invited. And like any powerful guest, it arrives only when respect is shown. Motivation, as we usually understand it, is almost irrelevant. Flow does not require motivation. It produces motivation. We misunderstand effort because we misunderstand biology. When you enter flow, your brain releases dopamine. You feel rewarded. It releases norepinephrine. You feel energized. It releases anandamide. You feel liberated. It releases endorphins. You feel strong. It releases serotonin. You feel whole. The cocktail is chemical magic, and because of that, flow is addictive. But unlike other addictions, this one makes you more alive. Let us explore time. In flow, time lies. Sometimes it disappears. Hours can feel like minutes. Sometimes it expands. A moment becomes a lifetime. Athletes speak of seeing the ball freeze midair. A chess master describes 10 ideas arriving at once. Time is not objective, it is perceptual, and perception is shaped by attention. When you live fully, time expands. When you live half-heartedly, time collapses. An entire week can vanish when you are unconscious. A single minute can feel like eternity when you are awake. But flow is not found only in extraordinary moments. It hides in ordinary ones too: washing dishes, painting walls, walking, breathing, reading, gardening. The task is irrelevant. The presence is everything. Flow asks one question only: are you here? If you are here, the doorway opens. If you're thinking about being here, the doorway stays shut. Children understand flow naturally. They build sandcastles for hours. They draw on paper with a seriousness we reserve for board meetings. They play, not because they are told to, but because life invites them. Adults forget this. We trade play for productivity, curiosity for efficiency, wonder for goals. But what if productivity is strongest when it is fueled by play? What if seriousness is a parasite that kills performance? Flow whispers a radical truth. The greatest work often comes from joy, not pressure. Yet flow has enemies: anxiety, doubt, perfectionism, fear of judgment, the belief that you must already be good before you begin. Flow asks you to begin before you are ready, to step into the river even if the current scares you, to trust that skill will appear as you move. Csikszentmihalyi studied thousands of high performers, artists, scientists, CEOs, and found one shared trait: they all act before they think. They begin. Action is the gate. Thought comes later. Let us talk about identity. Many people say, "I am not creative," or "I am not disciplined," or "I am not talented." But flow destroys that illusion. Flow reveals that creativity is not a personality trait. It is a state. Discipline is not a character attribute. It is a result of engagement. Talent is not a gift. It is a habit multiplied by time. Flow is the equalizer. Anyone can enter it. Anyone can transform. The door does not check credentials. Imagine living a life where flow is a ritual, not a miracle. A life where each morning you protect 1 hour, just one, where you give yourself to something fully: write, paint, learn, build, exercise, practice, not for outcome, but for presence. Over a year, that 1 hour becomes 365 hours. Over 5 years, nearly 2,000 hours. That is mastery, not through pressure, but through devotion. Flow gives life meaning, not in an abstract, philosophical way. Meaning comes from participation. When you participate deeply, you feel connected to yourself, to others, to the world. Depression often comes from disconnection, anxiety from fragmentation. Flow is the medicine that modern life forgot to prescribe. Relationships can be flow when you listen fully, when you forget your phone exists, when someone speaks and you are not waiting for your turn, you are simply receiving. Presence is love. Flow is presence. Therefore, flow and love are siblings. That is why the most meaningful memories of your life all share one trait. You were there. There is a gentle danger in flow. When you taste it, life outside it can feel dull, empty, heavy. Some people chase flow like a drug, but flow is not escape. It is arrival. It is not about avoiding reality, it is about entering reality deeply. The point is not to live in flow constantly, that would exhaust you. The point is to visit it often enough that it changes who you are outside of it. To design a life where flow is natural, you must remove what blocks it: noise, rush, obligation, the belief that every action must be productive. Replace pressure with curiosity. Replace multitasking with single moments. Replace distractions with ritual. Replace judgment with experimentation. Csikszentmihalyi taught that life is not something you manage, it is something you shape. And flow is the chisel. Fulfillment is not an accident. It is not something that falls from the sky when you retire. Fulfillment is simply what happens when you give your attention to the things that matter. And flow teaches you how to give that attention. It is not just a state, it is a teacher. It teaches patience, presence, humility, courage, surrender, and perhaps most importantly, joy. Let us end with a final idea. For centuries, humans believed enlightenment was something only monks could reach after decades of meditation. Csikszentmihalyi showed that enlightenment has a practical cousin: flow, a brief window where you dissolve, where action and awareness merge, where the mind becomes silent because life is speaking loudly enough. So ask yourself, not someday, but now, what is the activity that makes you feel most alive? What steals your sense of time? What returns you to yourself? That is your map. Follow it. Begin. Build rituals. Protect time. And when flow arrives, surrender. Maybe the secret to high performance is not to push harder, but to fall more deeply into life, to stop fighting and start flowing. Take one breath, then begin. Maybe everything you've heard today is only the threshold. Maybe flow is not the destination, but the doorway. And the real question is not what could you achieve with it, but who could you become if you chose to live this way every single day? What if this wasn't the end of the journey, but the first second of a new one? What if tomorrow you didn't wake up and fall into your life, but stepped into it? If you want to keep discovering what your mind is truly capable of, if you want more keys, more tools, more hidden doors, then don't leave now. Stay with us. Subscribe and let the next chapter unfold.